America was founded many centuries before the War of 1812. The War of 1812 truly shaped the American culture. Today, I would like to explain how the War of 1812 shaped the culture. The War of 1812 showed the world that America was not just a piece of land. It also structured the political parties, the military, the economy, and how the nation truly came together. My name is Kristen Youngblood, and I have always loved history. So knowing where our American culture truly came from just amazes me. The article, The Outcome of the War of 1812, states, while the war may not have been the American second revolution, it certainly helped unify and innovate the nation, ushering the era of good feelings and manifest destiny. During the War of 1812, the American Navy was still newly founded, and it had to go up against one of the greatest armies in the world at the time. The Navy luckily strategized to protect the shores and the inland body of waters, so it held up its own against Great Britain. Since it did hold up its own against Great Britain, it showed the world how strong the America truly was. After the war, the military had to begin rebuilding their navy due to the damage. And once it rebuilt, it became a lot more stronger. And this is how our military is one of the strongest militaries in the world today. Before 1812, America was still divided and followed the culture of Great Britain. After the War of 1812, political aspects of the monarchy started to dissipate. Since it won a second war after the Revolutionary War against Great Britain, the United States came together as a nation. The Federalists also began to dwindle, and because they were no longer, America was able to create its own state and federal constitutions. Isn't it amazing how the Revolutionary War that granted America its freedom from Great Britain didn't have as much impact to the American culture as the War of 1812? The changes didn't stop at just the military and political level. It deeply impacted the economy. During the War of 1812, America was no longer to import any goods, so they had to innovate their own way of making goods for their nation. They rebuilt old factories and began to build new ones. They also employed women and children to produce the amount of goods they needed. They also were able to explore inland of America, so they had to develop roadways and eventually the railroad. This truly shaped the way our economy is today. Surprisingly, there was more changes to come. The social impact of 1812 began the freedoms that America has today. The war produced a confidence in the American nation and individuals. The article, The Reform Movements in America, states, Alexis D. Bell observed that Americans are quick to join together to promote whatever causes they favor. After the War of 1812, the cotton industry boomed. Unfortunately, that meant there was more slaves. But the nation pulled together and wanted to abolish the slavery, which eventually led to the Civil War. Even though the Civil War was one of the greatest reform movements, there was many more to come. The women's rights movements to allow women to vote and be equal to men. There was the temperance movement, which wanted to prohibit alcohol in America. And of course, there was those that opposed that. And then of course, the civil rights movements to end segregation against blacks. As Henry Adams put it, in 1815, for the first time, America ceased to doubt the path they were to follow. The War of 1812 may not be popular in the textbooks, but it really shaped the way America is today. Isn't it interesting knowing where the American culture began?